Poonam Muttreja, can we start with you? Should we be worried? It sounds rather ominous that a UN report projects India overtaking China as the world's most populous country by next year. Should we be worried?
You know, we knew we are going to overtake China. The new report has been making projections. It's a yearly report and they've been making these projections, and in India also we have the data to show that. So we knew we were going to overtake China, and it was India's population is decreasing. India's population rates are decreasing. We have reached replacement level, which is 2, 2.1. India has reached 2. So we are only looking at the bad news. But let's look at the good news, that population is stabilizing globally as well as in India. And the reason India will continue to grow is because we have a very large population. And the large population can be a demographic dividend if we use it well. After all, numbers are not, let's not only look at numbers. India has this window of opportunity for a demographic dividend, while India also has something to celebrate, because government has done actually a great job of focusing in high fertility districts. It's very rare that we can praise a government on something that's happened, but this time I'd like to compliment the government for, especially the last 5 years, our NFHS data showed that in parts of North India, especially Bihar, UP, where the population rates are very high, and the 5 states, the population has come down, and it's come down for all communities, all religious groups. So population is declining fast, but we have more troubles, which is that India has a very young population of 360 million people. We need to invest in our young people, in their reproductive health and on sexuality education, as well as family planning services to, should I say, access to contraception, because young people don't do family planning. And third, we need to invest in our demographic dividend, skills, education, and so on. So I'd like to look at it as not bad news and expected news.
But I want to, the first point that you were making, you're saying that our population growth rate actually is declining. So India is not in a midst of a population explosion. That was a myth. I mean, it is not a fact.
Yes, it's not a fact. And
now,
every time,
Poonam, then this leads me to ask, why are people pushing for this population control bill? But let me not ask you about that. Let me just ask you, what would the ramifications of such a law, what could that be? Like, what could the fallout be socially on women, etc.?
Yes. So, first of all, it will have a political fallout, which I don't want to deal with. Let the politicians deal with. And we saw it in the emergency, where India had a huge setback after we did a population control strategy, coercive measures. So we have lessons for India. But in terms of women, it'll have, and children, it'll have a terrible impact. And let me explain why. First of all, women do not have access to family planning. All women do not. And those who do not have access or agency will be the biggest sufferer, which is the poorest amongst all. And these women, there is 10% unmet need for family planning in India, which in terms of numbers is huge. 20 million a year. If we provided family planning services and women had agency, we will not have this unmet need, so it will impact women very badly.
So you wouldn't need a control bill. You're saying if women had agency over their own decisions about whether they wanted to have a child or not. All right. I want to
sex selection. Let me just mention that sex ratios will go down as fertility declines, especially coercion. They will be, given that we have son preference in India, the sex ratios will become adverse, which will be a real problem for women. We already see the problems, and China has experienced it, and India needs to learn from that.